Hey, what the hell? Why you hanging on the rooftop by yourself? I have an open invitation, but you're telling me go get lost. I don't wanna see your face. Yeah, what the hell? So why don't we stay out till the morning light? Cause two wrongs can make a right. We're just doing what we feeling right now. Some Chardonnay, we camp in the parking lot. Leave traces of plastic cups. We're just doing what we feeling right now. So what the hell? Why you hanging on the rooftop by yourself? Always waiting for the one, but I got news for you. I'm the best that you can get, so what the hell? Yeah, what the hell? So what the hell? So what the hell? What are you waiting for now? And what the hell? You're pretending that you like somebody else, like you got boys waiting in line to take you home. But tell the truth, you'll spend the night alone. Let's be alone. So why don't we stay out till the morning light? Cause two wrongs can make a right. We're just doing what we feeling right now. So what the hell? Why you hanging on the rooftop by yourself? Always waiting for the one, but I got news for you. I'm the best that you can get, so what the hell? Yeah, what the hell? Are you ready so for what the hell? So what the hell? Why you hanging on the rooftop by yourself? Always waiting for the one, but I got news for you. I'm the best that you can get, so what the hell? Yeah, what the hell? So what the hell?
The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. I have come, it's cold and losing my control. The light is gone, the night has come, it's crazy. The night is gone, I wish that you could save me from my isolation. My life too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. It's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. start this conversation. We got no relation.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a damp Milton Keynes for the final round of the INKART Championship. I apologise, I'm slightly out of breath. I ran to the commentary box, and there are stairs involved on the way to the commentary box. So it might take me a minute just to remember how to breathe normally. But we should have some really good action. We've got our Heat 1 practice underway for both our cadets and juniors. Once that opening heat is done, we'll be heading on into the first heat of the day, followed by practice number 2, which will lead into heat 2. For those people who don't know, we're also streaming all of the action today on to YouTube. So you can share the stream with any of your friends or family who might want to tune in to the action, or indeed after the race if you want to have a look back and see how the racing went, and remind yourself of the epic battles your child might have had out on circuit. You can do that. It's all on YouTube under the Milky Cereal channel. So let's take a look then at what the practice times are currently looking like. I really need to stop running. Or maybe start running a bit more, depending on how you look at things. Archie Davies is at the top of the times with a 1 minute 12.4 ahead of Charlie Chisbregi. Now, we had Junior Sprint League just a few moments ago, and Jacob Chisbregi was lightning quick. Jacob, though, is going to be out in practice number 2. So for this opening practice, we have in the junior category, Harry Jupp, Liam Weatherall, William Hayter, Max Wilimowski, Charlie Chisbregi, Sam Gadd, and Archie Davies. And in cadet, heat 1 and practice 1, Caelan Keith, James Devereaux, Shaylin Srikantan, Kimi Densham, and Lewis Bowie. That is a stacked heat 1. James Devereaux, Kimi Densham, Lewis Bowie, Caelan Keith, absolutely mega. And I've been away for a few rounds of the INKART Championship, so Shaylin Srikantan is a new name for myself, as I have just been given championship standings. And Rayan Malik is leading this championship by a comfortable 11 points. So is in very good stead to win the championship today, provided he just gets his heats together. And all he has to really do is finish at this point, and he will be able to take the championship. But there is a good battle for second place as well currently between James Devereaux and Lewis Bowie. Just 3 points separating the pair of them, which should be, or which should make things quite interesting. We don't have any Jacob Kent today. He's currently running 4th in the championship ahead of Kimi Densham. So Kimi Densham should be taking 4th in the championship once today's events are over. But it's mainly about the battle for 2nd in the cadet championship. For the junior championship, though, ooh, what are things looking like? We currently have Aidan Hammond leading the championship by 8 points over Jacob Chisbregi, who is in turn 5 points ahead of Charlie Chisbregi. So all of Jacob Chisbregi, Charlie Chisbregi, Louis Bishop, Aidan Hammond have all missed out one round of the season. So they are the effective top 3 of the championship. However, if you don't exclude rounds, it's actually Jacob Smith who is at the top of the standings on 244 points. So we'll see how Jacob gets along. He's racing in heats 2 and 4 with the likes of Aidan Hammond and Jacob Chisbregi, and indeed Callum Franklin. Now, Callum Franklin had an absolute stormer in the Junior Sprint League earlier today. Really, really quick in the wet conditions, and he is absolutely going to be a driver to watch out for today. And potentially, we could be seeing Callum Franklin challenging Louis Bishop for 3rd place in the championship. Well, Louis Bishop and Jacob Smith. Currently, Callum Franklin is on 197 points. So is, well, 12 points behind Louis Bishop. It is possible for him to jump ahead of Louis, but he will need to have a very, very good run of heats and indeed races. However, practice is about to draw to a close, and it is Charlie Chisbregi who is at the top of the times ahead of Sam Gadd and Archie Davies. And then comes the anonymous 55 kart, which might be Liam Weatherall. Over in the cadet category, Caelan Keith is the quickest with a 1:16.4 ahead of James Devereaux and Lewis Bowie. And then comes Kimi Densham and Shaylin Srikantan. And for Shaylin, it is their second round of the season, having taken part in round 5, the last round of the championship. And now we are in the season finale, round number 6. But the sun is shining and the track is definitely drying. I can see from here in the commentary box at turn 10, quite a few dry patches starting to appear. And this is where people say the wet weather is where the best drivers stand out. I like to say the best drivers stand out even better on changing conditions. A track that is drying up or a track that is getting wetter, because that's where you have to push. And every single lap, you are driving in brand new conditions. And you have to be super brave to be able to push those limits with every passing lap. And you have to be able to be keenly aware of where the track is drying. So you do one lap and you realize, okay, this part of the track isn't drying as quickly as another part of the track. And one corner you're taking a dry line, another corner you're taking a wet line. So it's very, very fun. I'm not particularly a wet weather fan, but drying conditions are something rather special, I'll be honest. However, we are getting ready for that first heat of the day. And at the start, at the front of Junior Heat 1, Harry Jupp and Liam Weatherall will be on the front row of the grid. William Hayter, Max Wilimowski on row 2. Charlie Chisbriggy and Sam Gadd on row 3, with Archie Davies completing the field. In Cadet Heat 1, Caelan Keith and James Devereaux make up the front row of the grid. And then comes Shaylin Srikantan and Kimi Densham, with Lewis Bowie completing the field. So we're just going to get our carts gridded up on the start-finish straight, and then we can get underway with all of the racing action for today. James Devereaux and Lewis Bowie, don't forget, are battling for the championship. James Devereaux currently 3 points ahead of Lewis Bowie, which means that Lewis Bowie needs to make sure he is beating James Devereaux in both heats to give himself the best possible opportunity of taking second in the championship, maybe even jumping ahead of Rehan Malik. But Rehan Malik practically, I think, has won this championship. Actually, let me just do some quick maths. Yes, Rehan Malik has won the championship. So there's nothing either James Devereaux or Lewis Bowie can do to take that top spot away from Rehan, who's had a very good couple of previous rounds, taking 60 points and 59 points in the last 2 rounds, respectively. And as a result, his second consecutive INKART Cadet Championship. But the battle for second is well and truly on between James Devereaux and Lewis Bowie. And it's all going to start with this first heat of the day. James Devereaux starting in second, Lewis Bowie starting down in 5th place at the very back of this first heat, which means that he's going to need to get his way through the field as quickly as possible. And we know the cadets are usually quite tentative when it comes to overtaking here at Daytona Milton Keynes, but it does look like we are pretty much ready to go. Harry Jupp and Liam Weatherall on the front row of the grid. And we'll have our juniors starting the race, and then after a quick gap we'll be sending our cadets out on to circuit. So Harry Jupp, Liam Weatherall, front row of the grid. Keep your eyes out for Charlie Chisbriggy, Sam Gadd, Archie Davies. Very, very quick in practice were those three, and they're starting from the very back of the field as well. But it is eyes to the lights, and we are underway. Good start for Harry Jupp, but William Hayter is already alongside Liam Weatherall heading into turn 1. Can't quite pull fully alongside and has to tuck in behind as we head into the chicane. Charlie Chisbriggy is going to go up the inside of Hayter and tuck in behind Liam Weatherall and up into 3rd position. So Charlie Chisbriggy gaining 2 places through the opening couple of corners as we have our first spinner of the day, and I believe that is William Hayter. We look though towards our cadets, where Caelan Keith and James Devereaux starting on the front row of the grid. Caelan Keith has to take the inside line. James Devereaux, though, going round the outside and has taken the lead into the opening chicane, and that is terrible news if you're a Lewis Bowie fan, because he is going to be seeing his championship rival right at the front of the field, and that is a lot of work that Lewis Bowie now has to do. But they are going to head down into turn 5. We can see juniors coming back into view as Charlie Chispregi on the back of Liam Weatherall heading down into turn 10. And you can see those dry patches starting to form. I think by the end of the day we might be racing in full dry conditions. Across the line then to start a new lap. And behind Charlie Chispregi is Sam Gadd in that orange and black suit as Charlie Chispregi tries to get the run there. Almost 3 abreast. They are 3 abreast. Charlie Chispregi is onto the grass heading into turn 4 and has to slot in behind as Caelan Keith has now been overtaken by Kimi Densham. James Devereaux still leading the way. Lewis Bowie on the back of Caelan Keith, rounding the final corner. So leading 4 cars cross the line to start a new lap. Can Kimi Densham hunt down James Devereaux in these wet and very tricky conditions? This is where you just have to search to try to find the grip. And the cadets taking the dry racing line. I don't know if that's quicker. Caelan Keith sends one up the inside of Kimi Densham, and he makes it work as well. I was wondering if they'd run out of grip on that rubbered line, but they have not. Still leading the way is Harry Jupp ahead of Liam Weatherall, and then is Charlie Chispregi, who goes up the inside through the final corner, makes the move work as well. So Charlie Chispregi up into second place. In the Junior Sprint League Championship, it was Charlie Chispregi who came second, as that's a mistake then from Harry Jupp that allows Charlie Chispregi to go round his outside through turn 3. Liam Weatherall's going to go up the inside of Harry Jupp into turn 4, and Harry Jupp goes from first down to third, but is having a drag down with Liam Weatherall into turn 5. That's going to invite Sam Gadd to go up the inside through turn 5. Can he make it work? Doesn't find the traction on corner exit. As across the line comes James Devereaux to start a new lap ahead of Kimi Densham. Lewis Bowie has been able to overtake Caelan Keith up into third position, doing exactly what he needs to do in his heat, where he starts from the back of the field. But here come the juniors once again. Charlie Chispregi has checked out at the front of the field, and it is still Sam Gadd, oh pardon me, not Sam Gadd, Harry Jupp holding on to second place ahead of Liam Weatherall, with Sam Gadd in fourth. Sam, though, having a really good run coming out of turn 10, could maybe look for the inside, decides better of it, slots in behind, looks to get the switchback out of the final corner, and is now running side by side with Liam Weatherall heading into turn 1, still side by side on corner exit. Can he send it up the inside into the chicane? Backs out of the move, has to settle for fourth this time round, as we have a battle further down in the junior class. Max Wilimowski battling with Archie Davies for position. As again, Sam Gadd gets a good run on Liam Weatherall, but has the outside into turn 5. And actually, Sam Gadd is going to try to hang it around the outside all the way. Sam Gadd pulls off a cracking move. Round the outside he goes on Liam Weatherall up into P3. Now can he hunt down Harry Jupp for second place? Charlie Chispregi, though, still leading. And here is Harry Jupp with Sam Gadd directly behind him. James Devereaux has well and truly checked out at the front of the cadet field from Kimi Densham. And Lewis Bowie still has Caelan Keith close behind. Max Wilimowski makes a mistake through turn 2, finds himself in the tyre barriers with nowhere to go, and that is going to allow William Hayter to jump past him, and Archie Davies will gain a position. Wilimowski will feed out directly behind William Hayter, so the pair of them might have a bit of a battle between themselves now. They were lapping around about the same kind of pace. Oh, that's a spin. James Devereaux. He's lost the rear end through turn 1, and he can't get the kart going. Lewis Bowie will have a little smile under his helmet, knowing that second in the championship has just gotten a little bit closer. And it means that Kimi Densham is going to be taking the race win as well. And that also might mean James Devereux might miss himself a ticket to the A final. And in these wet conditions, well, James Devereux was the quickest of all of them, but maybe just trying to push that a little bit too hard to find more time, and it has cost him massively. Now, where is James Devereux relative to Shailen Srikantan? I think Shailen's heading into turn 9 now. And James Devereux is coming onto the back straight, so last time around, James Devereux was about 5 seconds quicker than Shailen, so maybe there is a chance for James to be able to get a position, and he needs to be able to get that position as well if he wants to be able to secure the A final. And as it stands, Lewis Bowie, who was 3 points behind James Devereux, is now looking at taking, well, exactly those 3 points out of James Devereux's championship advantage. So we are going to be all tied between Lewis Bowie and James Devereux heading into Heat 3 of the day. And our cadets are now starting to be lapped, I think. Sorry, Shailen is being lapped by our juniors. As Max Wilimowski is right behind William Hayter as they're heading into National Corner. Lewis Bowie is hunting down Kimi Densham as well. And if Lewis Bowie can make this move for the lead, he will find himself in second place in the championship. But James Devereux is definitely catching up to Shailen Srikantan. Last time round, Lewis Bowie, 108.4. Kimi Densham, 107.9. Sam Gadd, second, has been able to find a way through on Harry Jupp. And Harry currently running in third place, just ahead of Liam Weatherall. As William Hayter defends from Max Wilimowski heading into turn 4. Wilimowski in the blue suit, Hayter in the orange suit and orange helmet, with James Devereux just up ahead. He gets a good run out of turn 5 as well, so the pair of them are neck and neck heading down towards National Corner, as we see Liam Weatherall right on the back of Harry Jupp heading down into turn 10. The clouds have started to come out as that's a spin for Shailen Srikantan, and that's going to allow James Devereux to pass him. As the juniors come through the corner and Shailen ends up driving right in front of them. Wilimowski has a spin. I think there might have been some contact with William Hayter. William ends up looking over at Max Wilimowski saying, "That was all on you, buddy." We'll see whether the stewards agree with his assessment of that incident. But Charlie Chisbregi leads by 6.5 seconds to Sam Gadd, and Harry Jupp in third place ahead of Liam Weatherall. And there is Lewis Bowie ahead of Kimi Densham. So Lewis Bowie takes the lead of the heat, and James Devereux jumps up into P4, which does mean that they are still going to be tied on points at the end of this heat. Last time round, Lewis Bowie 106.1, James Devereux 107.5. So Lewis Bowie is well and truly the quickest driver out on circuit right now. So Liam Weatherall still on the back of Harry Jupp heading into the hairpin of turn 4. as the checkered flag is being readied, which will be for Charlie Chisbregi, who's making his way on to the back straight, just behind Caelan Keith, in fact. Track is definitely drying and improving. The checker flag is ready, and Charlie Chisbregi will win the first heat of the day for the INKART finale. Sam Gadd will take a very, very good second position. And still fighting for third is Liam Weatherall and Harry Jupp. But it is Harry Jupp who is going to take the honours over Liam Weatherall, who just was unable to find a way through for the entire race. Archie Davies will come home in fifth. Then it'll be William Hayter and Max Wilimowski. James Devereaux will see the checkered flag. But taking the win in the cadet heat is going to be Lewis Bowie, who is heading down now into turn 9. He started from the very back of the cadet field. Lastly first, mission accomplished for Lewis Bowie. Just has one more corner to navigate. Look at Caelan Keith really closing in onto Kimi Densham in this final lap, and maybe might have a chance at jumping Kimi Densham on the exit of the final corner. Just needed one more lap, but Lewis Bowie will take the win ahead of Kimi Densham and Caelan Keith, with James Devereaux coming home in P4 ahead of Shailen Srikantan. So with that now, we are going to be sending out our second set of drivers for their first practice session, and then their heat as well. So out in our second practice session, Louis Bishop, Aidan Hammond, Callum Franklin, Jacob Smith, Jacob Chisbregi, and Bly Gregory. In cadet practice 2, we have Rayan Malik, Teddy Mullen, Tyler Rickard, Brandon Edwards, and George Wilimowski. So our karts are out onto circuit now, and it is visible how much drier the circuit is now compared to 20 minutes ago at the start of the first practice session of the day. I believe that's Louis Bishop at the front of the junior field with Aidan Hammond and Callum Franklin behind. Then comes Jacob Chisbregi. Callum Franklin was probably my driver of the day in the Junior Sprint League earlier on. Really, really good pace from Callum Franklin. The only driver to be able to match Jacob Chisbregi in the wet conditions. But we'll see whether either Callum Franklin or Jacob Chisbregi can match the pace of Aidan Hammond. So, Jacob Chisbregi is 8 points behind Aidan Hammond. If Jacob Chisbregi could win both heats, with Callum Franklin in second and Aidan Hammond in third, Jacob would straight away gain 4 points over Aidan Hammond and be just 4 points behind heading into the final. So, right now, Jacob Chisbregi is Callum Franklin's best friend. Unless Callum Franklin beats Jacob, then he won't like Callum. And looking at Callum Franklin right now, he is definitely closing in onto Aidan Hammond and is showing a lot of pace right now. Callum Franklin, though, is about 26 points behind Charlie Chispregi in the battle for third place in the championship. So it's a bit too far back to really be able to challenge for those top 3 spots. Would need a lot of results to go his way. And, well, a lot of bad results for the likes of Jacob Chispregi and Charlie Chispregi, which, while possible, is not likely. But then I've been seeing a lot of unlikely stuff happening over the course of this weekend. In the Super Champs yesterday, as well as the Junior Sprint League earlier on today. Callum Franklin and Jacob Chispregi taking much tighter line through turn 10. Aidan Hammond still taking the wet line through the penultimate corner. The lap times from those 3 are very, very close, all in the low 105s. And as they cross the line, they find 2 seconds. Jacob Chispregi, 102.9. Aidan Hammond, 103.4. Callum Franklin, 103.4. So half a second separating your top 3. Then it's Louis Bishop, Jacob Smith, Rayan Malik. Very quick in the cadets, as per usual. Tyler Rickard is currently second in the cadet category. Just 0.6 off Rayan Malik, which is very impressive for young Tyler. Then we have Bly Gregory, George Wilimowski, and the anonymous 83 kart ahead of Teddy Mullen, which will be Brandon Edwards, I believe, in that 83 kart. Aidan Hammond has been able to pull a little gap to Callum Franklin and Jacob Chispregi. The pair of them go around the outside of, I believe, Brandon Edwards, as Callum Franklin, again, taking that dry line through turn 10, which seems to be definitely quicker than the wet line that Aidan Hammond's taking every single time. Callum Franklin is gaining about half a second to a second through the corner. And as they cross the line, I have a feeling that Callum Franklin is going to be the quickest. Indeed, he is. 62.6 for Callum, 62.8 for Jacob. Aidan Hammond, 63.3. So now 7/10 separating them. But if Aidan Hammond didn't make that mistake into turn 10 or took the dry line, I have a feeling that Aidan Hammond would probably be a few tenths quicker than Callum Franklin, because through the majority of the circuit, it does seem like Aidan Hammond is stretching a tiny advantage over Callum just to lose it through that hairpin of turn 10. It's also very close between Jacob Smith, Louis Bishop, and Rayan Malik, who are 4th, 5th, and 6th overall. Here is Callum Franklin, still just behind Aidan Hammond as they round the final corner. I think this time Aidan Hammond has probably pulled about a tenth to Callum Franklin. We'll see whether there are more improvements for this trio. And indeed there are. Another second gain. Aidan Hammond, a 61.6. Callum Franklin, 62.0. Jacob Chispregi, 62.0. So 4 tenths between your top 3 as they come over the line. Let's see whether Louis Bishop improves on his 64.8, I think it was. He does indeed at 64.4, jumps ahead of Rayan Malik. And 6 tenths down on Jacob Smith, who is in a bit of a lonely 4th place in the standings currently. Ooh, look at Tyler Rickard go. 64.3, 5th overall. And quicker than Rayan Malik by a tenth of a second. In fact, from 4th overall down to 7th overall. So 4 karts separated by 6 tenths of a second. Very close indeed. As here is Aidan Hammond, Callum Franklin, and Jacob Chispregi. Again, I think they're all pretty much taking the dry line through every corner from what I can see. Again, Jacob Chispregi does like to hold the kart in tight on the exit of the final corner. I've seen this before. He does this in the dry. I don't think it's quicker. I think he's costing himself a tenth or so by doing that. But improvements from the top 3 once again. 61.1 for Aidan Hammond, 61.3 for Jacob Chispregi, and a 61.5 for Callum Franklin. As here's Rayan Malik right behind one of the juniors, heading through turn 1. Louis Bishop currently in 4th ahead of Tyler Rickard. Louis Bishop with a 103.1, Tyler Rickard 103.6. Then it's Jacob Smith, the anonymous 78 kart, which is Brandon Actually, no, it's Ryan Malik. Then we have Teddy Mullen, Brandon Edwards, and George Wilimowski. Very close, actually, between Teddy Mullen, Brandon Edwards, and George Wilimowski, with 2/10 separating that trio of karts. So we should be in for a very exciting race in the heats, as Aidan Hammond has definitely pulled to the duo behind him. Into the 60s goes Aidan Hammond with a 60.9. Improvement for Jacob Chesbreggy, 61.3. Callum Franklin, though, doesn't improve. And for the first time in, well, since the start of the heat, Callum Franklin has not improved on his personal best, which is why he's dropped back from Aidan Hammond and Jacob Chesbreggy has closed into the back of him. Another improvement then for Ryan Malik, a 104.3, just 2/10 shy of Tyler Rickard. And could Tyler Rickard be in for a first heat win of his INKART career? Ryan Malik is starting the race on pole. Tyler Rickard is down in third. But Tyler Rickard is showing very good pace right now. Louis Bishop has done a 63 dead, which is a very impressive lap time. Over the line then for the top three, Aidan Hammond just shy of improving. Callum Franklin, though, does improve with a 61.1. Jacob Chesbreggy also improving a 61.2. 3.5 tenths between the top three now. But Aidan Hammond just seems to have that little edge over the duo behind him by about a tenth or so per lap. Ryan Malik crosses the line. Doesn't improve this time round. Improvements for both Brandon Edwards and George Wilimowski, 65.8. Teddy Mullen has been able to get a 65.1, so it's 7/10 clear of Brandon and George behind him. As that is Jacob Chesbreggy, who has now passed Callum Franklin. So now has a bit of clean air. We can see what Jacob Chesbreggy truly has under the kart, as Callum Franklin is into the pit. So does Callum Franklin have an issue with that kart and want a kart swap for the heat? It will mean that he's going to have a cold kart for the start of the heat, which could potentially be rather race-changing for him. Jacob Smith improving a 62.2, as does Louis Bishop, 62.6. Teddy Mullen, Teddy Mullen putting in a really quick time, 63.8, jumping ahead of... Teddy Mullen did jump ahead of Ryan Malik, but Ryan Malik just improves with a 63.3. And as I say, that Tyler Rickard also improves, a 62.8. So a second between Tyler Rickard, Ryan Malik, and Teddy Mullen. And then it's a couple of seconds back to Brandon Edwards and George Wilimowski, who are separated by just a few hundredths of a second. There goes Aidan Hammond and Jacob Chesbreggy over the line, as Callum Franklin has headed back out on circuit. I didn't quite catch if he jumped into a new kart or not. Jacob Chesbreggy, though, does improve a 61.1, but neither Aidan Hammond or Jacob Chesbreggy have really been able to significantly improve on their previous personal bests. Checkered flag is now out. Now, I'm just interested to see whether Tyler Rickard will be topping this practice session over Ryan Malik, who is the championship leader as well, let's not forget. There comes Tyler Rickard over the line. Not an improvement. Actually went 5 seconds slower, so probably had a spin somewhere along that lap. Aidan Hammond crosses the line. Can he improve on his 60.9? He can indeed at 60.7. What about Jacob Chesbreggy, though? Jacob Chesbreggy improves 60.4, 3/10 clear of Aidan Hammond, and showing that if he can get himself a bit of clean air, he is the quickest between himself, Jacob, and Callum. So, Jacob Chesbreggy and Aidan Hammond top the times, ahead of Callum Franklin and Jacob Smith. Then comes Louis Bishop, Tyler Rickard, 6th overall and top of the cadets, ahead of Ryan Malik, who did improve at the very end and jumped ahead of Teddy Mullen by 7/10 of a second. Then comes Bly Gregory, followed by George Wilimovsky and the 83 of Brandon Edwards. George Wilimovsky right towards the end improving with a 65.3, so 4/10 clear of Brandon Edwards. But I think we should be in for some rather exciting racing here for the final round of the INKART Championship at Daytona Milton Keynes. The track is still drying. We've had a bit of cloud cover recently, which means the track won't be drying quite as quickly as it was during our Junior Sprint League race and the first heat of the day in the INKART Championship. But it will continue to dry. And I forget what are the dry lap times we would be seeing from our drivers. I'm just going to have actually a quick check of previous race results and just see how far we are off the quick lap times. So we usually see the cadets lapping in the low 59s. So I think we're about 3 seconds off the pace currently. Yeah, 3 to 4 seconds off. So still a bit of time to be found. I think our juniors probably lap in the low 58s. Sometimes we see some 57s if I'm not mistaken. So for our juniors, they're only about 2 to 3 seconds off the pace. Cadets are about 3 to 4 off the pace right now. But I think we are pretty much ready to get underway. Louis Bishop, Aidan Hammond on the front row of the grid. Callum Franklin, Jacob Smith on row 2. This is a very, very important heat for Jacob Czesbreggi because he needs to beat Aidan Hammond if he wants to keep any championship hopes alive. And maybe he might need to pull out some little holding up tactics as well if he can get in front of Aidan Hammond to give Callum Franklin a good opportunity to get in between himself and his championship rival. Eyes on the lights though, and we are ready to get racing. Louis Bishop, Aidan Hammond on the front row of the grid, and away we go. Aidan Hammond covers off Callum Franklin into turn 1, but Jacob Czesbreggi is already along the inside of Jacob Smith through turn 1, tucking in behind Callum Franklin. And just like it was in practice, it's Aidan Hammond from Callum Franklin and Jacob Czesbreggi, but it is Louis Bishop who leads the field at the front. And we look towards our cadets who are getting underway. Rayan Malik and Teddy Mullen on the front row of the grid. Teddy Mullen very quick in practice. Can he pose a serious challenge to the championship leader and the reigning champion, Rayan Malik? As Aidan Hammond has found a way past Louis Bishop heading into National Corner. And Rayan Malik has already got himself a rather comfortable lead at the front of the cadet field as Tyler Rickard is trying to find a way through on Teddy Mullen, heading down the hill towards turn 5. Jacob Czesbreggi has been able to overtake Callum Franklin. Callum Franklin going up the inside of Jacob Czesbreggi side by side on the exit of 9 on the inside to turn 10 is Jacob Czesbreggi makes the move work as well, and that's inviting Jacob Smith now to battle with Callum Franklin on the approach into the final corner. But Jacob Czesbreggi holds on to P3 as Aidan Hammond checks out at the very front of the field. And here come the cadets, still being led by Rayan Malik, as a little bit wide for Tyler Rickard as he tries to battle with Teddy Mullen. Has a look over his shoulder. I believe that is George Wilimovsky behind him. And Brandon Edwards just behind Mr. Wilimovsky. So it's George Wilimovsky who is behind Brandon Edwards currently. I got the two the wrong way round, and that is a mistake, I believe, for Teddy Mullen. Tyler Rickard up into second place, and Brandon Edwards will follow him through. As Callum Franklin has passed not only Jacob Czesbreggi, but Louis Bishop. So I'm going to guess there was a bit of contact between Bishop and Czesbreggi, and that has allowed Callum Franklin to take the pair of them. Jacob Czesbreggi very smartly looks for the switchback out of the final corner, pulls it off fantastically. And Jacob Chesbreggy is up into P3. Can he hunt down Callum Franklin? And can Callum Franklin hunt down Aidan Hammond at the very front of the field? Aidan Hammond last time round, a 60.7. Callum Franklin, who did have to do battle, with a 61.0, but we'll see what the lap times look like now that they all have a bit of clean air. Rayan Malik comes over the line. He sets a 63.3. It's a 63.4 for Tyler Rickard. So your top two matching lap times currently. And there is about 2 seconds separating the pair of them, although it does look like Rayan Malik has been closed in somewhat over this first half of the lap. They are on lap 3 currently. Aidan Hammond over the line. A 60.0. What does Callum Franklin do? 60.7. Jacob Chesbreggy, though. That looked to be a quick time, 60.1. So Aidan Hammond, quickest driver on circuit, but Callum Franklin being reeled in by Jacob Chesbreggy. In fairness to Jacob, he did start far down the field, so if he can get a second, that would be a pretty good result, but it's not going to be quite good enough to hunt down Aidan in the championship. And as things are currently standing, Jacob Chesbreggy needs practically a perfect round if he wants to be able to have any chance of battling and potentially taking this championship away from Aidan Hammond. The last couple of seasons of INKART have been dominated by the Chesbreggy brothers, who have been able to find that little edge over Aidan Hammond. And Jacob Chesbreggy goes up the inside of Callum Franklin through turn 9 up into second place. And now it is just the hunter and the hunted, although I'm sure Aidan Hammond will not be thinking of himself as the hunted at all. Aidan Hammond, a 60.1. Jacob Chesbreggy also with a 60.1 as well. Louis Bishop has been closed in by Jacob Smith, who is right on the back of him, heading through the hairpin of turn 4. Both of them lapping in the low 61s currently. Last time round, Rayan Malik took 4/10 out of Tyler Rickard. This time round, we'll see what the lap time is like for Rayan Malik. Another mid-62, and almost an identical time by Tyler Rickard. And the gap is 2.5 seconds. There's attention paddock, attention paddock. Can all Heat 3 drivers please get themselves race ready and to the end of pit lane? So all Heat 3 drivers, please get yourselves race ready and to the end of pit lane. Thank you. Jacob Smith still on the back of Louis Bishop. This could be an important battle between these two, as it could determine which of the pair make it to the A final. Definitely the track is looking a lot drier than it was during practice for this lot. Another 60.0 then for Aidan Hammond, 59.9 for Jacob Chesbreggy. He takes just a 10th out of Aidan Hammond, but the gap is 3.7 seconds as Tyler Rickard is trying to still hunt down Rayan Malik. He's pulled a bit of a gap to Teddy Mullen behind him. And pretty much as long... Well, Rayan Malik has already won the championship. I don't know if he's done the maths. I don't know if he knows that he's won the championship. But he has indeed. I'm sure Rayan would want to end his championship with a perfect round, a total of 61 points to add to his tally. Just having a look at the times. Another 62.8 then for Rayan Malik, a 62.6 for Tyler Rickard, taking 2/10 out of Tyler. This time round, Aidan Hammond with a 59.9, Jacob Chesbreggy with a 60.2, and still has Callum Franklin close behind him. So can't get too complacent, can Jacob Chesbreggy, because Callum Franklin is within fighting distance. I think we might be having a really good four-way battle come the A final between Aidan Hammond, Callum Franklin, Jacob Chesbreggy and Charlie Chesbreggy. But we're going to have to wait for the finals for those four to all meet up together and will presumably be starting on the front 2 rows in some order, presumably with Charlie Czesbrecki on pole with 2 wins, I'd assume. And then, depending on what happens in the next heat, will Aidan Hammond be able to get 2 race wins, or will it be a first and a second, maybe a first and a third, depending on the performances of Jacob Czesbrecki and Callum Franklin. Tyler Rickard still hunting down Rehan Malik. He's definitely closing in. Last time round, he took nearly half a second out of Rehan Malik. And this time round, I think he's gained another few tenths again. Rehan Malik, a 62.4. Tyler Rickard, 62.0. The gap is just 1.6 seconds. But is Tyler Rickard running out of time? I said before, Tyler Rickard might be getting his first heat win of the day. How much further can he carry it? Could it be a first round win of the day as well? If he can keep this pace going into the A final, he might be on for a very, very good result. Jacob Czesbrecki still being hunted down by Callum Franklin. Both Jacob Czesbrecki and Callum Franklin last time round in the 59.7s. Aidan Hammond another 60.0. So it does seem like the track isn't improving a lot at this point, even though it does look like it is visibly getting a bit drier, but it is still damp in critical places on the braking zones into corners, on the apex traction zones coming out of corners. Here comes Rehan Malik over the line, and Tyler Rickard is a lot closer than he was just 3 laps ago. Another 62.4. And it is practically a personal best for Rehan Malik, but Tyler Rickard is into the 61s, a 61.8. He takes 6 tenths out of Rehan Malik as they head through the hairpin of turn 4. And Rehan Malik is looking over his shoulder, and all he's going to be seeing is a very hungry Tyler Rickard directly behind him as they go through turn 5. And Rickard is right on the back of Rehan Malik as we head down the hill into National Corner. And will they still be in this order when they make their way out of National and on to the back straight? Here they come, and it is still Rehan Malik ahead of Tyler Rickard for the time being. Now, we know that the cadets are tentative when it comes to overtaking. They don't like to go for big sends, but Tyler Rickard will be seeing his first heat win of the day, and this isn't any heat win. This is a heat win where he would have to beat the reigning champion Rehan Malik for that victory, and that would be a delicious feeling. Tyler Rickard right on the back of Rehan Malik, carrying so much speed into turn 2. No way through, having a little look up the inside into turn 4, but he's being sensible. He's being patient for now. Aidan Hammond is on to the last lap of the race. He also sets a 59.7, but Jacob Czesbrecki and Callum Franklin into the 59.6s. Shame for them that they're just a bit too far back. The gap between Aidan Hammond and Jacob Czesbrecki, 3.6 seconds. Eyes then towards our cadets as they make their way on to the back straight. Is still Rehan Malik ahead of Tyler Rickard, who is having the heat of his life right now. This is phenomenal pace for Tyler Rickard, but he just can't get close enough on the approach into turn 10. Great run through turn 10 on the back of Rehan Malik. Once again, can't have a send into the final corner. And they are going to be seeing the last lap board out. This is the final chance now for Tyler Rickard to get his first ever heat win. But does he have the pace advantage to be able to go for an overtake right on the back of Rehan Malik through the chicane? The checkered flag is out for Aidan Hammond, who'll win the first heat of the day. Jacob Czesbrecki will take second ahead of Callum Franklin. But here comes Tyler Rickard. Rehan Malik going defensive into turn 5. And Rickard is searching for any way through. Has to slot in behind on the exit of 5. Heading down the hill now towards turn 6. The only real overtaking opportunity left is into turn 10. You need to get a good exit through National. You need to stick on the back of Rehan Malik all the way down the straight, all the way through turn 9. And then just send it on the brakes. But he looks to be too far back as we head into that left-hander of turn 9. We know Rickard is quick through turn 10. Rehan Malik, though, gets a good run and a better run than Tyler Rickard as we head into the final corner. And Rehan Malik will be able to hold on and take the heat victory ahead of Tyler Rickard, who cheers nonetheless, and a very good drive from young Tyler to take P2 and keep Rehan Malik honest to the very end. Third place will go the way of Teddy Mullen ahead of Brandon Edwards and George Wilimowski, completing the cadet field. And with that, we're going to take a short break before we send out our third heat of the day. We're pretty much ready to get underway then with our third heat of the day. The second heat for this second heat for this first set of drivers. In the junior category, Archie Davies will be starting on pole with Sam Gadd in second. Charlie Chisbregi will be starting from third with Max Wilimowski alongside. William Hayter and Liam Weatherall will make up row 3 with Harry Jupp starting from the back of the field. And I believe Harry Jupp finished third in that first race behind Charlie Chisbregi and Sam Gadd, if I'm not mistaken. In Cadet Heat 3, Lewis Bowie will be starting on pole with Kimi Densham alongside. Lewis Bowie won the first heat of the day from the back of the field. Shailen Srikantan will be starting in third with James Devereaux alongside. And Caelan Keith starting from fifth. And James Devereaux, I'm sure, will be very eager to right the wrongs of Heat 1, where he was leading before losing the back end on the exit of Turn 1. And now has work to be done if he wants to get ahead of Lewis Bowie. Remember, the championship between Lewis Bowie and James Devereaux is currently perfectly tied. They are on the same number of points after the results of Heat 1. So our juniors and cadets will make their way to the grid. We'll get them gridded up, and then we will get underway. We'll have our junior start first, and then the cadets start 10 seconds later or so. And Charlie Chisbregi will be looking to pick up his second win of the day. Question is, can Sam Gadd keep him behind? Sam Gadd had a very good first heat where he finished in second, and now he's starting ahead of Charlie Chisbregi. can he keep Charlie behind him? And let's not forget as well, I believe Charlie Cisbreghi is the reigning INKART champion. I think he pepped his brother Jacob at the end of Season 1. Back in 2022, it was Jacob who was champion. So they have traded titles between them. This season, though, it is Aidan Hammond who is looking to take the championship. And after winning the first heat of the day, he has all but won the title, just needs to bring it home, really. Make sure he makes it into the A final and has a decent result in his second heat of the day. But we are pretty much ready to go racing. We get the thumbs up from the grid. Archie Davies, Sam Gadd on the front row of the grid. Sam Gadd needs to get a good start and try to pull away from Charlie Cisbreghi before Charlie can get past Archie Davies. Eyes to the lights, and we are underway. What's the start looking like for Sam Gadd? It's not a good start because Charlie Cisbreghi is already on his inside and pushing Archie Davies along through turn 1. So Charlie Cisbreghi already up into second place as we head through the chicane of turns 2 and 3. But it is still Archie Davies who leads the way. And now we look towards our cadets as they get ready to start their race. Lewis Bowie and Kimi Densham on the front row of the grid. It's a good start for Bowie, and Kimi Densham tucks in directly behind as James Devereaux watches it all unfold from the back of the field. Not had a good start. Caelan Keith has already been able to gain a position on him, and Devereaux gets a good run coming out of 3 side by side with Keith heading in to the hairpin of turn 4, but has to yield and slot in behind as they head into turn 5. Devereaux on the outside into turn 5 as Charlie Cisbreghi has taken the lead of the junior class and is now ahead of Archie Davies, with Sam Gadd still in 3rd position. And now it's just going to be business as usual for Charlie Cisbreghi, I'm sure, as he'll just look to get a nice comfortable gap at the front of the field. But look at Lewis Bowie go. Big gap already, as Shailen Srikanthan doing a fantastic job of defending from Kimi Densham and actually having overtaken him at some part of this lap. And Kimi Densham has Caelan Keith and James Devereaux directly behind us. Well, Lewis Bowie extends his lead at the front of the field. Caelan Keith looking to the inside of Kimi Densham. James Devereaux trying to decide as who want to go behind Caelan Keith or behind Kimi Densham. Decides to go behind Kimi Densham as Caelan Keith gains another position in her charge up through the field. James Devereaux, nice send up the inside of turn 4. Takes the position on Kimi Densham and moves up into 4th position. I tell you what, Shailen Srikanthan is having an absolutely phenomenal drive right now. Where was this pace in the first heat of the day? He is lightning quick and closing in onto Lewis Bowie as well, as our juniors come over the line, with Sam Gadd hunting down Archie Davies for 2nd position as Sam Gadd looks for his second place of the day. As here comes Bowie and Srikanthan. Through turn 10 they go, and James Devereaux has already closed in onto the back of Caelan Keith. Absolutely flying right now. And could Shailen Srikanthan be on for his first ever heat win? Well, it's one thing to catch up, it's another thing to overtake here at Daytona Milton Keynes. Not one of the easiest circuits to overtake at. James Devereaux tucks in behind Caelan Keith through turn 4. Look at William Hayter in the junior class. He's closing in onto Sam Gadd and looking to battle for the podium. But we now have a 4-way battle for the lead in the cadet field because they have all caught up to the back of Lewis Bowie. As we have a spinner in turn 10 in the junior class, we'll be able to get underway without any issue. Here come the cadets, though, onto the back straight, being led by Lewis Bowie, with Shailen Srikanthan looking for the inside, goes to the outside, searching for a way through as Lewis Bowie holds on to the lead. Devereaux up the inside of turn 9, on the outside through turn 10, makes the move work as well. James Devereaux up into 3rd position, and now right behind Shailen Srikanthan, who is searching for a way through on Lewis Bowie. The pace is continuing to improve. We're seeing mid-61s being set as the top three head through turn 1 and into the chicane of 2 and 3. James Devereaux searching for a way through, gets a good run through turn 3. Will he go up the inside into 4? Slots in behind. This time round as Sam Gadd is searching for a way through on Archie Davies as they head through turn 9, too far back to have ascend into turn 10 as James Devereaux tries to sneak his way up the inside of Shailen on the exit of turn 5. No luck this time round, has slotted behind. Heading into national corner, Charlie Chisbregi continues to extend his lead at the front of the junior field as Archie Davies and Sam Gadd cross the line with William Hayter just about half a second behind the pair of them. And here comes Devereaux. He's going up the inside of Shailen through turn 9 on the outside into turn 10. Covers off the inside and oh no! A bit of contact between the pair of them. And Shailen is into the tyre barriers. And he's going to have to get pushed out. Oh, that is such a shame for Shailen Srikantan. He was having such a fantastic race. And James Devereaux's gone up the inside of Lewis Bowie. Lewis puts his hand up. Don't know what you're complaining about. He was up the inside into turn 1. Made the move work as well. James Devereaux takes the lead of the race and retakes second place in the championship as well. Charlie Chisbregi a little bit wide on the exit of turn 10 and had a slight moment, but still leading the race. Fast lap a 59.2 for Charlie Chisbregi. Almost into the 58s now. And now Caelan Keith is right behind Lewis Bowie. Oh, contact between the pair of them. Lewis Bowie goes a little bit wide. And Caelan Keith kind of thought that she had a bit more space and Lewis Bowie was always going to end up coming back onto circuit and almost spins across the front end of Caelan Keith's kart. Bowie going defensive into turn 2. Caelan Keith will be searching for a way through. James Devereaux, though, has absolutely checked out at the front of the field. A 60.8 is his fastest lap, which is a second quicker than anyone else at this point. Archie Davies has started to put in some quick times, pulling away from Sam Gadd, who's coming under pressure now from William Hayter. Caelan Keith on the back of Lewis Bowie, heading down towards turn 9. Bowie's going to go defensive. Keith looking to the outside potentially, might look for a switchback, but turn 9 is completely flat. You can't get a switchback through that long left-hander. You have to tuck in behind the cart in front of you and just try to get as much slipstream as possible. Now to the final corner they go. James Devereaux sets a new fastest lap of the INKART race, a 60.4, as he approaches the 59s. And we're only about a second a lap off the pace at this point. Or a second and a half off the pace, so still a little bit more time to be found with the circuit drying, but not a lot left. And we should be in for a bone dry final. Or a final at the very least. Bowie still defending from Caelan Keith, too far back to have ascend into turn 10. Gets a good run though, out of the hairpin. Can't pull up alongside into the final corner. The track just always disappears from you if you try to go on the outside. Lewis Bowie and Caelan Keith lapping in the mid-61s currently. I tell you what, with the pace that Shailen Srikantan has, potentially he might be a good shout to even winning in the B final, as Caelan Keith has got a good run on Lewis Bowie. They're side by side as they're heading into national corner. Caelan Keith has the inside. That's going to become the outside. William Hayter's going up the inside of Sam Gadd through turn 1. Gives himself the inside for turn 2. And William Hayter takes P3 in the heat as Lewis Bowie holds on to second place ahead of Caelan Keith. Caelan Keith, though, getting a good run out of the hairpin. Can't get alongside, though. into the final corner. Lewis Bowie won the first heat of the day and looking at a second for the second heat. But can he keep Caelan Keith at bay? Because Caelan Keith is definitely the quicker of the two right now. But can she find a way through? You have to usually go for a send into turn 10 or into turn 4. Those are two of the best overtaking opportunities here at the circuit. Or if you can get a good run out of National and go up the inside into turn 9, but it is so difficult because it's really easy just to hold the inside on the back straight. Lewis Bowie having a look over his shoulder. We'll see that he's got about a kart length to Caelan Keith heading through turn 9. It's Kimi Densham about a further 4 or 5 seconds back. And Charlie Chispregi having just lapped Shailin Srikanthan. We'll be seeing the last lap board coming out. Sam Gadd's going up the inside of William Hayter through turn 9. Hayter's going to have the inside into turn 10 and holds on to third position as Archie Davies continues to extend his gap in second place. Charlie Chispregi with a 59.0 last time round, a 58.9 is his personal best this race and the fastest lap of the race. William Hayter is now coming under pressure. Sam Gadd looking up the inside too far back. William Hayter bravely turns into the corner anyway, says that's my corner. And Sam Gadd is forced to back out of the move as this battle for third continues to rage on. The third place for Sam Gadd would be absolutely massive for his starting position for the final. James Devereux will cross the line to start the final lap in the lead of the cadet field. Caelan Keith right on the back of Lewis Bowie heading through turn 1. This is the main battle to really watch out for. Caelan Keith looks to the outside, looks to the inside, back to the outside as Bowie tries to cover off her every move. Through the chicane they go. Bowie a little bit defensive heading into the hairpin. Can Caelan Keith get the run on the exit of the hairpin as they head down towards turn 5? Having a little think about it, but too far back, can't get the drive. Charlie Chispregi will take the win ahead of Archie Davies, and William Hayter will come home in third, as that is a move further down in the junior class. As I look towards the cadets, James Devereux still leading, and there's a yellow flag out in, actually that's just for turn 4, as Lewis Bowie continuing to look over his shoulder to see Caelan Keith behind, making sure that he has enough of a gap for Caelan Keith not to be able to send him into turn 10. Through turn 10 they go. Caelan Keith is close. Can Caelan Keith go for a send into the final corner? Too far back, and Lewis Bowie will cover her off, and it might be a drag to the line as well, but Lewis Bowie will hold on to second place ahead of Caelan Keith. Kimi Densham will be coming home in P4, with Shailin Srikanthan completing the INKART field. Really, really good battle between Lewis Bowie and Caelan Keith. And they're trying to give themselves a fist bump. And Lewis Bowie ends up going wide. Their arms can barely reach over the skirting of the carts. But they make the fist bump work nonetheless. And we're going to be heading into our final heat of the day now. And then after this heat is done, we'll be working out what the starting order will be for the B and A finals. So we are pretty much ready then to get our final heat of the day underway, Heat 4. So we're going to be getting our carts out onto circuit. In the junior class, Bly Gregory will be starting on pole with Jacob Czesbrecki alongside. Jacob Smith and Callum Franklin will be making up row 2 with Aidan Hammond and Louis Bishop starting at the back of the field. In cadet Heat 4, George Wilimovsky and Brandon Edwards will be on the front row with Tyler Rickard and Teddy Mullen on row 2. Rayan Malik will be starting from 5th. Tyler Rickard is my driver to watch. Very, very quick in his first heat of the day. Stormed up to the back of Rayan Malik, but was unable to find a way through on the reigning champion. We'll see whether he can go one better in this 4th heat of the day. And a win for Tyler Rickard in this heat might very well give him pole for the A final as well. Actually, will likely give him pole because Heat 4 should be quicker than Heat 3. The track should be a little bit drier, so expect the lap times to be a bit faster than what we saw for Heat 3. And from Heat 3 and Heat 1, while James Devereaux has a 1st and a 4th, but Lewis Bowie has a 1st and a 2nd. I believe Caelan Keith has 2/3 and Kimi Dencham has a 2nd and a 4th. So as things stand, it would be Lewis Bowie on pole, James Devereaux 2nd, then Kimi Dencham and Caelan Keith, although it's going to depend on who has a faster lap time, which I believe is Caelan Keith currently. So if Tyler Rickard can win this heat, he will be starting on pole as long as he gets a faster lap than Rayan Malik. If Rayan Malik wins this heat or comes in 2nd with the fastest lap, Rayan Malik will be starting on pole. And if Rayan Malik finishes 3rd or lower with Tyler Rickard 2nd or lower, then it will be Lewis Bowie who will be starting on pole for the A final. Meanwhile, in the junior heats, Aidan Hammond has to win this if he wants to start on pole. Otherwise, it will be Charlie Czesbrecki starting on pole, having won both of his heats of the day. And Aidan Hammond has to find a way through on both Callum Franklin and Jacob Czesbrecki, who have been matching him on pace throughout practice and throughout the first heat. But in Heat 1, it was Aidan Hammond who started ahead of Franklin and Czesbrecki. And this time round, Jacob and Callum are ahead of Aidan. All of our carts then are lined up on the grid, and we are pretty much ready to get underway. Bly Gregory and Jacob Czesbrecki on the front row for junior heat number 4. Eyes to the lights then, and we are ready to get underway. How good of a start can Jacob Czesbrecki get? What about Callum Franklin and Aidan Hammond starting further down the field? We are underway. It's a decent start for Bly Gregory, but an even better start for Jacob Czesbrecki, who takes the lead into turn 1. Is exactly where he wants to be. Callum Franklin is on the outside heading into the chicane, and Aidan Hammond is going to make it almost 3 abreast. Has to back out of the move, slot in behind Callum Franklin, and loses a position to Louis Bishop as well, although Hammond's going to fight back up the inside of Louis Bishop. He goes through turn 4 as we head down towards turn 5, and now eyes towards our cadets as they get underway with Wilimovsky starting on pole. Tyler Rickard starting this one from down in P3. He's already up the inside of Teddy Mullenbert. On the inside of the pair of them is Rayan Malik, who overtakes the entire field. Rayan Malik from 5th to 1st in the space of 2 corners. What a start! And that is why Rayan Malik is the current INKART cadet champion, and Tyler Rickard is already looking ahead, pointing in frustration as he realizes how far up the road Rayan Malik already is. Aidan Hammond struggling to get past Louis Bishop as Callum Franklin is already up into 2nd. Is exactly what Jacob Czesbrecki needs for his championship, as Aidan Hammond can't go left, can't go right because Louis Bishop's on the inside, and I believe that is not Jacob Smith, it is Bly Gregory on the outside, and Aidan Hammond, though, gets past Bly Gregory and now searching for a way through on Louis Bishop as he goes through turn 4. Tyler Rickard, though, side by side now with, I believe, that is Brandon Edwards heading into the final corner. as Teddy Mullen is currently in P3 behind George Wilimovsky, who is currently running in second position. Ryan Malik, though, just extending his lead at the front of the field, doing everything he needs to secure a pole start for himself in the A final. Aidan Hammond, though, still behind Louis Bishop, which means that Jacob Chesbriggy and Callum Franklin have themselves a comfortable advantage. Aidan Hammond gets a switchback out of turn 10, now on the outside, heading into the final corner. Looks for switchback number 2, pulls it off successfully, and past Louis Bishop he goes as he makes his way up into third place. And now, well, we say when the hunter becomes the hunted. But Jacob Chesbriggy was a hunter in heat number 2. Now in heat number 4, he's going to be the hunted from Callum Franklin and Aidan Hammond behind. There is a yellow flag out. Who is that for? I believe that is for Teddy Mullen, who is presumably in the barriers at National Corner. So disaster for Teddy Mullen, who was part of this four-way scrap for second place. That is being spearheaded by George Wilimovsky ahead of Tyler Rickard currently. Tyler Rickard, though, is still on for potentially 2 second-place finishes, which I think might be his best results of the season. Gets a good run out of turn 4. Now side by side with George Wilimovsky heading down into turn 5. Gets a very nice switchback, does Tyler Rickard. Takes the position, and following Tyler Rickard through as well is Brandon Edwards. Callum Franklin, though, is keeping Jacob Chesbriggy very honest and closing in last time round. Callum Franklin taking 6/10 out of Jacob Chesbriggy. Aidan Hammond, a 10th off Callum Franklin's time, but still gaining on Jacob Chesbriggy at the front of the field. Now Tyler Rickard, now that he is up into second and has clean air, can he hunt down Ryan Malik? He did it in the previous heat, but now the gap is even bigger than it was back in heat 2 of the day. And Tyler Rickard has a very fast charging Brandon Edwards directly behind him. Brandon Edwards was struggling in practice when it was wet, but now that the track is drying, Brandon Edwards is really starting to find his feet and starting to find a lot of pace. Aidan Hammond is dragging Louis Bishop along with him as well, so this is really good driving from Louis Bishop to be able to stick with Aidan Hammond for as long as he is. Ryan Malik last time round at 60.7, Tyler Rickard at 62.6, 62.1 for Brandon Edwards. Brandon Edwards all over the back of Tyler Rickard as we head through turn 9. Well, I think we might be having a really good battle between Brandon Edwards and Tyler Rickard. If Tyler Rickard can hold on to second place, he will be starting third for the A final behind Ryan Malik and Lewis Bowie. If he falls behind Brandon Edwards here, as Jacob Chesbriggy navigating his way past one of the cadets to put a lap on Teddy Mullen, and that has allowed an opportunity for Callum Franklin to really close in as they head through turn 1. Down the hill towards turn 5 they go. Jacob Chesbriggy and Callum Franklin, low 60s. Aidan Hammond, a 59.3 that time around. So he's gained a second in the process. Back to the cadets. If Brandon Edwards can overtake Tyler Rickard instead of starting third for the A final, I believe he will be starting in fourth behind James Devereaux, and James Devereaux will then be starting in third. Callum Franklin, a little look over his shoulder to see where Aidan Hammond is, as Aidan Hammond puts a lap on Teddy Mullen in the cadet field. Brandon Edwards still searching for a way through on Tyler Rickard. I just wonder how much more pace Brandon Edwards has if he could get himself into some clean air. Brandon Edwards still on the back of Tyler Rickard as we head through the final corner. The sun is out once more and the track is continuing to dry. Aidan Hammond is already almost into the 58s. And almost into the 59s is Rayan Malik, who is checking out at the front of the field. You know what would be exciting right now, guys? Some more rain. I'd love to see some rain in the middle of the finals. That'll throw everyone off, I think. Jacob Chesbreggy, though, still keeping Callum Franklin at bay. Aidan Hammond slowly closing in to the pair of them. Low 59s from all three. Aidan Hammond 59.0, Jacob Chesbreggy 59.1, Callum Franklin 59.2. And for all of them, that was their personal bests of the race. Aidan Hammond really wants Jacob Chesbreggy to be fighting with Callum Franklin. If things end as they are, Charlie Chesbreggy will be starting on pole for the A final with Jacob Chesbreggy alongside him. Then it will be Aidan Hammond and Callum Franklin with, I'm going to assume, Sam Gadd starting behind them, if my quick maths works out. And here they come through the final corner, and Aidan Hammond is definitely reeling them in. And this is without Chesbreggy and Franklin battling between themselves as they head into the chicane of 2 and 3 once more. 59.5 for Jacob Chesbreggy, 59.2 for Callum Franklin, 59.0 again for Aidan Hammond. So another half-second gain to the race leader for Aidan Hammond last time round. He just needs a couple more laps and he will be onto the back of the leading two. As here is Tyler Rickard once again making his way through turn 9. But he's actually behind Brandon Edwards now. So Brandon Edwards has made his way up into second place. Really good drive this from Brandon, who I believe finished the previous race in P4, I want to say, behind Teddy Mullen, but ahead of George Wilimowski. As Jacob Chesbreggy has spun. Jacob Chesbreggy has spun it into turn 10, pushing as hard as he can, and maybe he found himself on a wet patch, or maybe there was contact between himself and Callum Franklin. I didn't quite catch what happened, but Jacob Chesbreggy has dropped down from the lead of the race and down into P4. If he can find a way past Louis Bishop, he might still be able to start in third for the A final, but right now Callum Franklin, with a first and a third, would be looking to start in third for the A final, unless Aidan Hammond has anything to say about that. But now Tyler Rickard is all over the back of Brandon Edwards, heading down into turn 10. As he gets a good run on the exit, pulls alongside Brandon Edwards, heading into the final corner. Edwards on the inside, Rickard on the outside, and Tyler Rickard with a switchback retakes second place. Cracking battle between our two cadets. The last lap board is going to come out for Callum Franklin, and Aidan Hammond is right on the back of Mr. Franklin as we start the final lap of the junior race. Junior Heat 4, through the chicane they go. Jacob Chesbreggy on the back of Louis Bishop. 3 battles to watch, 2 in the junior class, 1 in the cadet field. Through the hairpin of 4 they go. Louis Bishop goes defensive with Jacob Chesbreggy directly behind. Jacob gets the run almost alongside, heading down into turn 5, forces Louis Bishop to go defensive. Jacob Chesbreggy can't get the switch back, has to slot in behind Louis Bishop. He's going to have to go for a move into turn 10, or potentially the final corner of the race. Here is Aidan Hammond. Can he find a way through on Callum Franklin? I don't think Callum Franklin has won a heat in the INKART Championship yet. But can he find his maiden heat win? It's all going to come down to the final corner, and Callum Franklin is going to hold on to the position, although it's going to be a drag to the line. Callum Franklin's going to do it. He takes the heat win from Aidan Hammond. Jacob Chesbreggy cannot find a way through on Louis Bishop. Louis Bishop takes third. Jacob Chesbreggy in P4. And Aidan Hammond overtakes Callum Franklin after the checkered flag. Just to say, if I had one more lap, I could have done it. Rayan Malik. Where is Rayan Malik? Here he is, heading through turn 9 and into turn 10. Rayan Malik will be making it 2 heat wins out of 2. Tyler Rickard is still ahead of Brandon Edwards. He had a brief spell in third, but was able to fight his way back up into second place. Can he hold on to the position though? Brandon Edwards closing in a lot under braking. Gets a really good exit. Maybe Brandon Edwards can go up the inside into the final corner. No, he can't. Too far back. Tyler Rickard will hold on to second place. He's cheering as he comes over the line, just ahead of Brandon Edwards in third place. And then it will be George Wilimowski in fourth and Teddy Mullen completing the field. So with that, we are going to have a quick break as we work out the grid order for the B and A finals. And then we will get our B and A finals underway.
Why you hanging on the roof all by yourself? I have an open invitation, but you're telling me go get lost. I don't wanna see your face. Yeah, what the hell? So why don't we stay out till the morning light? Cause two wrongs can make a right. We're just doing what we feeling right now. Some Chardonnay, we camp in the parking lot. Leave traces of plastic cups. We're just doing what we feeling right now. So what the hell? Why you hanging on the rooftop by yourself? Always waiting for the one, but I got news for you. I'm the best that you can get, so what the hell? Yeah, what the hell? So what the
Welcome back, everyone. We are ready to get underway with our B finals. But first of all, you need to know who's in the B finals. So let's read them out, shall we? We'll start off with our cadet B final. Starting on pole in the cadet B final is Kimi Densham. Second will be Brandon Edwards. Third, Teddy Mullen. Fourth, George Wilimowski. And in fifth place will be Shaylin Srikantan. In our Junior B final, William Hayter will be starting on pole, with Jacob Smith starting in second. Harry Jupp and Liam Weatherall will be on row 2, with Bly Gregory and Max Wilimowski starting at the back of the field. And while we're at it, I might as well read through our A final starting order. Cadet A final, starting on pole with 2 race wins, Rayan Malik. Starting in second with 1 race win is Lewis Bowie. Starting in third, also with a race win, James Devereaux. Tyler Rickard will be lining up alongside James Devereaux on the second row of the grid, with Caelan Keith completing the field. In the Junior A final with 2 race wins, Charlie Chesbreggy will be starting on pole. Aidan Hammond will be starting in second. Callum Franklin will be starting in third, with Jacob Chesbreggy alongside him. Sam Gadd will be starting in fifth, with Louis Bishop completing row 3. And Archie Davies will complete the A final field. So, if I called out your name for the B final, please make your way over. So, B finalists, Kimi Densham, Brandon Edwards, Teddy Mullen, George Wilimowski, Shaylin Srikantan. And in the Junior B final, William Hayter, Jacob Smith, Harry Jupp, Liam Weatherall, Bly Gregory, and Max Wilimowski. So can all those drivers please get themselves race ready and to the end of pit lane as quickly as possible. Thank you. I'm actually really excited to see Shaylin Srikantan starting from the back of the B final, because he actually has a faster lap than anyone else in the B final with a 61.4. In fact, it's actually quicker than a few of the Cadet A finalists. Very good third heat or second heat for Shaylin. Was unlucky to be in the tyre barriers at one point and drop through the field. And we'll see what he can do in this Cadet B final. Maybe even get a Cadet B final victory. But Kimi Densham starting from pole. He is 5th in the championship. Will be looking to pick up the points, take 4th in the championship away from Jacob Kent. Meanwhile, in the Junior A final, William Hayter and Jacob Smith starting from the front. Will be 2 to watch out for. Jacob Smith with the fast lap of any of the B finalists. We'll see what he can do starting from second. I think we're going to have a really, really good Junior B final. Well, now we're just waiting for all of our drivers to get kitted up into the end of pit lane, and then we can get this B final underway. So it appears that we are pretty much ready to get our B final underway, as our juniors are making their way to the end of pit lane. Then we can get them out on circuit, gridded up, get the B final underway, followed by the A final. And then once presentations are done, as I like to say, we can get everyone home in time for the F1. Which I believe is it 2 o'clock it starts today? We should be done today by about 1 PM. Right, we are pretty much ready to get underway then with our B finals. William Hayter and Jacob Smith on the front row of the grid, and we are underway. Good start for William Hayter. Jacob Smith jumping in the car, trying to get a little bit of extra acceleration, and a good start as well for Harry Jupp. He's going up the inside now of Jacob Smith into the chicane. Jacob Smith, though, has the inside for turn 2. And that's allowing Liam Weatherall to get right into the mix as he tries to go around the outside of turn 4. And we look towards our cadets, Kimi Dench and Brandon Edwards, starting on the front row of the grids. Brandon Edwards gets a horrible start, and Teddy Mullen is up into second place already. And Shaylin Srikanthan has also gained a position on Brandon Edwards, who's gone from second to last. So maybe he just wasn't looking at the lights when they went green, because he has lost a whole bunch of time. But it is Kimi Densham who leads the way at the front from Teddy Mullen. And then in third is George Wilimowski. Here come the juniors, though, being led by William Hayter, who has a look over his shoulder. And we'll see Harry Jupp sitting in second place with Jacob Smith in third. And then comes Liam Weatherall in P4 as we start lap number 2 of the race. I'm just trying to check, is that Brandon Edwards or George Wilimowski who is currently in third? Because they do have similar coloured suits, just different helmets. So it is Brandon Edwards who is running in P3. So he didn't drop down to last, he just dropped down 1 position at the start. So my apologies on that. Now Teddy Mullen trying to defend second place as Shaylin Srikanthan is closing in on this duo. Very late on the brakes from Jacob Smith heading into turn 10 as he defends from Liam Weatherall. And directly behind Liam Weatherall is Bly Gregory, followed by Max Wilimowski. So both the Wilimowski brothers in this race, one in the juniors, one in the cadets. Max Wilimowski in the blue suit at the back end of this train of karts. And overtaking opportunity then for Bly Gregory as he goes up the inside of Liam Weatherall. Oh, really nice switchback from Jacob Smith through turn 5 as he takes second place, but it's going to be a drag as they head up the hill, and then it's going to be down the hill into the braking zone of National Corner with Jacob Smith and Harry Jupp neck and neck. Who gets the run out is Harry Jupp, who will hold on to second position ahead of Jacob Smith, and then it is a bit of a gap back to the battle for P4. Overtaking move really late on the brakes, fantastically done by Jacob Smith. Incredibly confident on the brakes, gets the kart stop, pulls off the move, and up into second place goes Jacob Smith. And now he can try to hunt down William Hayter at the front of the field. And they're currently running in P4 is the 55 anonymous kart of Liam Weatherall ahead of Bly Gregory and Max Wilimowski. Here is Shailen Srikanthan right on the back of Brandon Edwards, heading through the final corner, with Teddy Mullen currently sitting in second place. Kimi Densham checking out at the front of the field. Mullen almost being overtaken by Edwards into the chicane of 2 and 3. Sides against it. As George Wilimowski tries to go up the inside of Shailen Srikanthan. George Wilimowski gets a good run out of turn 5 neck and neck with Shailen. Shailen's going to have the inside heading into National Corner. But can George Wilimowski get the run on corner exit? And the answer is no, he can't. Let's have a look then at the lap times at the front of the field. William Hayter, 60.3. Jacob Smith, 59.7. He's taken 6/10 out of William Hayter's lead. And the gap between them is 1.9 seconds as they came across the line. Teddy Mullen now defending. Yep. Announcement for who? Attention paddock, attention paddock. Apparently somebody called Lucy, you have food ready in the paddock. So if your name's Lucy and you ordered some food, go and get it. Otherwise, I'm going to run down to the paddock and get it instead because I'm quite hungry. Teddy Mullen then still in second place. Shailen Srikanthan has closed in onto Brandon Edwards as we head through the final corner. And starting a new lap, Kimi Densham continues to extend his lead at the front of the field. William Hayter losing another second to Jacob Smith on the last lap. And there is Jacob Smith right on the back of William Hayter. Jacob Smith wants this race win, and he is in the perfect opportunity to take it as well. Up the inside he goes. He's been so good on the brakes down into turn 10. And it is another overtake for Jacob Smith. This time he takes the lead of the race, and now he can get his head down and just extend his advantage at the front of the field. It is bone dry on the circuit now. Nothing like it was for the Junior Sprint League earlier on today, or indeed the first couple of heats where it was damp, where it was greasy, where we saw mistakes and spins all across the track. Attention paddock, can all A finalists please get themselves ready and to the end of pit lane? All A finalists, please get yourselves ready and to the end of pit lane. Shailen Srikanthan goes defensive through the final corner. But the switchback being done by George Wilimowski, who goes up the inside of Srikanthan into turn 1 and will be able to claim the position. Still, Teddy Mullen holding on to a very good second place ahead of the 79 of Brandon Edwards. As Liam Weatherall tries to find a way through on Harry Jupp in this battle for P3. Was in their similar position back in his first heat of the day. Was Liam Weatherall, but this time round I think he's done it. He's got a good run up the inside of turn 1. Can't quite carry the speed, and Harry Jupp will hold on to P3 for now. The pair of them a little bit off the pace of William Hayter, so they can't really close in to hunt down second place. Brandon Edwards still behind Teddy Mullen. Shailen Srikantan now behind George Wilimowski. Little look over his shoulder for George Wilimowski. And we'll see Srikantan right behind him. Teddy Mullen still doing a fantastic job to keep Brandon Edwards behind. But I do think George Wilimowski and Shailen Srikantan are closing in. The longer and harder these two battle, the better it is for the two behind to close in. Liam Weatherall has been able to find a way through on Harry Jupp, but Harry Jupp fights back up the inside of turn 10, goes in way too hot, completely wide, and Liam Weatherall just lets Jupp fly up his inside and very effectively just gets a nice switchback and now finds himself with a second buffer to Harry Jupp, who tried to pull off the, I think we could almost call it the Jacob Smith overtake. At least for this B final, Jacob Smith has been very, very good on the breaks down into the hairpin of turn 10. Just another reminder for all of our A finalists to get themselves kitted up and to the end of pit lane, please. And here we go. Brandon Edwards still right behind Teddy Mullen, but now he has George Wilimowski directly behind him. And then Shailen Srikantan a couple of kart lengths further back in this 3 to 4 kart battle for second position. Going up the inside now goes Wilimowski. He's going to make the move work on Edwards, and up into P3 he goes. The final trophy of the day now will be making its way into the hands of George Wilimowski. And can we see Brandon Edwards fight this one back? And there goes Brandon Edwards up the inside of turn 10. Switchback time then for Wilimowski. As they're side by side going into the final corner, this has allowed Srikantan to close in, and more critically has allowed Teddy Mullen to extend his advantage in second position. Across the line we go, and now it is Edwards ahead of Wilimowski and Srikantan heading into the chicane of 2 and 3, and that's a bit of contact. And sadly for Wilimowski, he's the one who comes out worse and drops back away from this group, and that's practically his chance of fighting for second, his chance of fighting for a podium down the drain. Brandon Edwards now closing in again onto Teddy Mullen and dragging Shailen Srikantan along with him. Not too long left in this race. Jacob Smith still leads 6 seconds clear of William Hayter, who is in turn 4 seconds clear of Harry Jupp. Sorry, not Harry Jupp, Liam Weatherall. Harry Jupp is currently running in P4. Here is Liam Weatherall and Harry Jupp coming over the start-finish line. Good run for Brandon Edwards as he's trying to get alongside Teddy Mullen heading down International Corner. And we won't see who's ahead until they make their way out of National and onto the back straight. And here comes Brandon Edwards now going up the inside into turn 9. He's made it work. Brandon Edwards takes second place for Teddy Mullen. Teddy Mullen goes up the inside. That's a late move from Teddy Mullen. Brandon Edwards is not happy about that, and that's going to be a no bumping warning for sure. If he had got the position, it might have been a bump and pass as well. And lucky that Brandon Edwards is still facing in the right way, otherwise he would have had a penalty, and it would be Shaylin Srikantan who would be inheriting second position as a result. As up the inside he goes. Oh, that was always going to end in disaster. And Teddy Mullen just has let the red mist take over. Goes for, well, a dive up the inside that was just frankly not going to work into turn 2. And he gets his front nose chopped off, ends up facing the wrong way, and instead of potentially having a third place finish, he is now going to be finishing at the very back of the cadet field. Kimi Denchen, though, won't have any idea of what's happening further behind. Here is Kimi Denchen, as we do have a red flag out, so we're going to be bringing all of our carts to a stop. So we're just going to make sure that Teddy is okay, and we can get this race restarted. You might want to push the juniors back, otherwise that car can't get into pit lane. Right, so it does look like we are ready to get underway and racing once again. So we've just had a red flag for anyone tuning in on the YouTube stream. So we're going to essentially have a one-lap sprint to the end from here, with Jacob Smith leading the field, making his way into turn 10 now. Currently sandwiched in between a few of the cadets. And maybe Jacob Smith might add a little bit of drama to this battle for second place. Currently, Brandon Edwards is looking at second in the cadet field. Shailen Srikantan running in third position. Kimi Densham should be taking a comfortable win in the Cadet B final. And here come the cadets then down into turn 5. Still Brandon Edwards is ahead of Shailen Srikantan. And in all the commotion, George Wilimowski has been able to close into this battle for P2. And here they come then, on to the back straight. Srikantan on the back of Brandon Edwards, heading through turn 9. Checker flag will be prepared. And it looks like it will be Brandon Edwards holding on to P2, but it is going to be Jacob Smith who wins the B final in the junior category. Brandon Edwards will take second ahead of Shailen Srikantan and then George Wilimowski, which means that Kimi Densham will take the win in the cadet category. William Hayter will be coming home in second position, and it will be Liam Weatherall who takes P3 ahead of Harry Jupp. And then Bly Gregory will be taking P5 ahead of Max Wilimowski. So just to confirm the results, Jacob Smith takes the race win ahead of William Hayter and Liam Weatherall. Harry Jupp takes P4 ahead of Bly Gregory and Max Wilimowski. And then we move on to our cadets. Kimi Densham winning ahead of Brandon Edwards. And then Shailen Srikantan, George Wilimowski and Teddy Mullen, who had that incident in turn 2 on the penultimate lap of the race. So with all that said and done, we are now ready to get underway with the main event, the INKART A finals. So, for our junior and cadet A final, Charlie Chisbregi starts on pole in the junior class with Aidan Hammond alongside him. We've said that quite a few times, haven't we? Callum Franklin and Jacob Chisbregi will be on row 2 with Sam Gadd and Louis Bishop on row 3. Archie Davies will be completing the A final grid. In the cadet A final, Rayan Malik and Lewis Bowie will be on the first row. James Devereaux, Tyler Rickard on row 2 with Caelan Keith completing the field. And with that, we are ready to send our juniors and cadets out onto circuit so we can grid them up and get our A final underway. The final race of the day, the final race of the INKART Championship as well. And then we'll be seeing everyone for the Autumn Championship. So, I was saying during the heats that I think these four are going to have an absolutely cracking battle. We saw Aidan Hammond, Callum Franklin and Jacob Chisbregi out in heats 2 and 4, and they were very closely matched in pace. Charlie Czesbrecki was in Heat 1, but now we get to see all 4 of them racing in the same heat. I think if they battle hard enough as well, Sam Gadd might be able just to tag along with them and join the battle. Louis Bishop has also shown a lot of good pace as well today. Maybe he could be a dark horse to getting on that podium. In the cadets, Rehan Malik and Lewis Bowie have been, well, very good today. James Devereaux also very fast. And maybe James Devereaux can challenge Rehan Malik. But remember, it's between Lewis Bowie and James Devereaux for second place in the championship. And currently, James Devereaux is 1 point ahead of Lewis Bowie heading into this final. So it's all to play for. And it's practically whoever beats who will take second in the championship. That's how close it is. However, there is a one advantage for James Devereaux. He has won a round, whereas Lewis Bowie hasn't, which means tiebreaker-wise, it is favoured for James Devereaux. So Lewis Bowie has to beat James Devereaux and pick up a fastest lap of the race if James was to finish behind him. Otherwise, Lewis Bowie has to finish 2 positions ahead, or Lewis Bowie wins the race. If Lewis Bowie wins the race and James Devereaux does not get the fastest lap, then Lewis Bowie will take second in the championship. For James Devereaux, all he has to do really is make sure he beats Lewis. Now, I don't know if they are aware of how close the championship is. If they are, they're going to be fighting between themselves a lot, and I think Rehan Malik might just drive away with this one as a result. And of course, you can't count out the likes of Caelan Keith, and Tyler Rickard has shown a lot of pace today as well. Actually catching up to Rehan Malik and almost overtaking him in the first heat of the day, but narrowly missed out on his first ever heat win. We are just making sure that all of our karts are ready to go. They are all on the start-finish line. I know we can't quite see it on the camera, but they are there. And we're just making the final checks before we get this A final, the final race of the season, underway. Charlie Czesbrecki and Aidan Hammond on the front row, with Callum Franklin and Jacob Czesbrecki behind. We've seen the Czesbreckis and Hammond battling, well, all throughout Junior Sprint League. We've seen them in the INKARTs as well, time after time. And now Callum Franklin joining that trio to turn the trio into the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Hopefully, though, it won't be an apocalypse out on circuit. We'll see some good, clean, fair racing between all 4 of them. Aidan Hammond has, I believe, won the Junior Championship already, so his result in this A final will not affect his championship. However, Charlie Czesbrecki might be beating Jacob Czesbrecki. He was 5 points behind Jacob coming into this round, and he has already been able to take about 4 or so points out of Jacob. And a win here with Jacob finishing outside the podium could get Charlie another second place and beat Jacob just like he did in the Junior Sprint League earlier on today. Going to be eyes to the lights in a moment, and we are ready to get underway, and away we go. Aidan Hammond tucks in directly behind Charlie Czesbrecki, and Jacob Czesbrecki tucks in behind Callum Franklin on the run towards turn 1, as around the outside goes Louis Bishop on Sam Gadd. That's going to give him the inside heading through turn 3. But no dramas in our Junior A final race start. And now we look towards our cadets, and away we go with Rehan Malik and Lewis Bowie on the front row of the grid. But James Devereaux has had an absolutely fantastic start. He's gone from 3rd to 1st through the opening corner. He's done exactly what Rehan Malik did in his 2nd heat of the day. And James Devereaux is leading in the A final ahead of Rehan Malik and Lewis Bowie, as we have a full course yellow out. Who is missing? All of the top 4 are in place. I think a tyre barrier has been hit somewhere, and the marshals are going to have to put that tyre barrier in place. But it is Charlie Czesbrecki who leads from Aidan Hammond, Callum Franklin and Jacob Czesbrecki, exactly as it was before. Oh, sorry, is it Archie Davies? Is Archie Davies missing from this group of karts? Louis Bishop is there. Is it Sam Gadd who's missing? It is Sam Gadd who's missing. So Sam Gadd has been involved in an incident down at turn 5. There it is. There's a kart being pushed out. So missed that happening when we looked over towards the cadet race start. But Sam Gadd is fine. He's making his way back towards pit lane, where he will be presumably given another kart potentially. I'm not sure. But what this means is we practically have just single file all the karts going around. It neutralizes the race. And Sam Gadd had been having a cracking set of drives today. He's going to end up rejoining right into this junior battle. So hopefully he's still going to be technically a part of this race then in the junior field. He'll join at the back of it. So he's being just told to wait to allow these karts to go through. There we go. So Sam Gadd still in this race, thankfully. I don't know if he'll be counted as being a few laps down or if he'll have those laps given back. But we are green and racing once again, as we have the cadets in front of us making their way through the chicane. Charlie Chisbregi leading in the junior field as they head through turn 5. Sam Gadd just a second or so behind this train of cars. Aidan Hammond already on the back of Charlie Chisbregi, heading down into National Corner as Lewis Bowie is coming under pressure from Caelan Heath, heading through turn 5. Caelan Heath looks for the switchback coming out of turn 5, pulling alongside Lewis Bowie. Has to back out of the move. It does end badly if you go side by side into National Corner as Aidan Hammond's on the outside of Charlie Chisbregi. Charlie holds on to the position and covers off the inside, heading down into turn 10 and retains the lead of the junior field. But you can see how close the likes of Callum Franklin and Jacob Chisbregi are now as a result. And how long can Charlie Chisbregi hold on to this lead? This is so important for Charlie to beat Jacob in the championship, to take second. He's only 4 points behind Jacob heading into this round. As things stand, Charlie would jump ahead of Jacob Chisbregi in the championship standings. And bad news for James Devereaux. He has been given a jump start penalty. So James Devereaux has been deemed to have jumped the start and gone before the lights went green and will be given a position penalty at the end of the race. Here comes Charlie Chisbregi then. Aidan Hammond directly behind him. Aidan Hammond goes up the inside. Charlie's going to have to fight back up the inside of turn 10. He goes, and Callum Franklin is going to try to follow through. Louis Bishop watching all of this unfold in front of him. I said Louis Bishop might be a dark horse in this race, and that's exactly what Bishop is trying to do now. Jacob Chisbregi is on the inside of Callum Franklin, coming out of the final corner. He'll have a bit of tow from Aidan Hammond as well, but he doesn't have the drive, he doesn't have the momentum, and he has to settle for P4. The order is as it was 1 lap ago, and Charlie Chisbregi is defending for all his life's worth. Covers off the inside into turn 4. Callum Franklin again looking to the outside, and now Louis Bishop has got a decent run. He's alongside Jacob Chisbregi heading down into turn 5. Can't make the move work as Callum Franklin trying to get a switchback on Aidan Hammond. Sam Gadd trying to close back into this group of cars. James Devereaux is just checking out at the front of the field, but he has that penalty, which means it's going to be quite close. Now, I think it's a 3-place penalty that James Devereaux has, which might just cost him second place in the championship as the juniors head into the hairpin of turn 10. That's the corner just in front of our camera. And Rayan Malik is coming under a lot of pressure from Lewis Bowie. And James Devereaux is trying to hunt down Sam Gadd in the junior field up ahead. Now, I don't know if Lewis Bowie knows that James Devereaux has a penalty right now. But as things stand, 1, 2, 3. So, James Devereaux will get the fastest lap of the race as things currently stand. But he'll finish 2 positions behind Lewis Bowie. So, that means that he'll lose 1 position to Lewis. and they'll be tied on points. But because James Devereaux has a round win, he will take second in the championship. So for Lewis Bowie to win or to take second in the championship, he needs to find a way through. Look at this 5-car battle in the junior field as Jacob Trespreggi muscles his way up the inside of Callum Franklin and up into P3, covers off Callum Franklin on the inside into the final corner. Louis Bishop trying to get a switchback on Callum Franklin. No can do, I'm afraid. And Charlie Trespreggi is doing a phenomenal job of keeping this group of cars behind him. But it has allowed Jacob Trespreggi up into third position. And that is bad news for Charlie Trespreggi in his bid to fight for second place in the championship. Lewis Bowie now under pressure from Caelan Keith heading through the chicane, as Aidan Hammond continues to push Charlie Trespreggi along on the run into turn 6. We're looking at high 59s then for our juniors and mid to high 60s for our cadets. As here they come down the hill towards turn 9 still. Charlie Trespreggi, Aidan Hammond going up the inside, but Charlie critically will have the inside down into turn 10. Louis Bishop now going up the inside of Callum Franklin. This is the best A-final race I have seen in the cadet class. Callum Franklin now on the inside of Louis Bishop will retake 4th position as Charlie Trespreggi continues to keep Aidan Hammond at bay. Charlie now defending from Aidan Hammond heading into the chicane of turns 2 and 3 and will again hold on to the lead of the race. And all of this defending from Charlie Trespreggi is just meaning that the field is so close behind him. We're seeing so many battles occurring. Rayan Malik still second in the cadet class with Lewis Bowie and Caelan Keith directly behind Tyler Rickard a couple of seconds further back. And now Aidan Hammond again trying to have a go at Charlie Trespreggi, who makes sure he has the inside for the left-hander of a national corner and will presumably still be in the lead on corner exit. And indeed, he is this time. Charlie Trespreggi goes defensive. Aidan Hammond is on the outside, which means he's going to have the inside heading into turn 10. But Charlie Trespreggi, super late on the brakes, somehow prevents Aidan Hammond from sending it up his inside and still holds on to the lead of the race. This is phenomenal battling between Charlie Trespreggi and Aidan Hammond as Jacob Trespreggi tucks in behind the pair of them. As things stand, Charlie Trespreggi would be taking 3 points out of Jacob Trespreggi in the championship. Who has the fastest lap, though? It's actually Callum Franklin with a 59.3. So Charlie Trespreggi needs to get that fast lap right now if he wants to take second away from Jacob Trespreggi in the championship. And now Jacob Trespreggi has found a way up the inside of Aidan Hammond through turn 5. Jacob Trespreggi has had to work hard for this, but he's up into second. He's behind his brother. And now I have a feeling that Charlie Trespreggi might end up defending this even harder than he was when Aidan Hammond was behind him. Through turn 9 we go then. Louis Bishop at the back of this 5-car train. Aidan Hammond searching for the switchback on Jacob Trespreggi. He gets a decent run, but it's not quite good enough. Might invite Callum Franklin to send one up the inside into the final corner, but they are lined astern as they exit the final corner to start lap number 10 of the race. Charlie Trespreggi still leading as he has been for the entirety of this race. But can Jacob Trespreggi overtake him? Charlie goes defensive into turn 4. Jacob Trespreggi just slots in behind us. It's given an opportunity for Aidan Hammond to get through. It is so close between all 5 carts as Aidan Hammond's gone a bit wide. Louis Bishop has gone up the inside of Callum Franklin. Not enough momentum for Louis Bishop to get past on Aidan Hammond, and I think maybe lost a position to Callum Franklin as well on corner exit. Here they come then on to the back straight, and it is still Callum Franklin ahead of Louis Bishop. Franklin going defensive. Louis Bishop on the outside of turn 9. That's going to give Bishop the inside heading into turn 10. And brave on the brakes then for Louis Bishop as he takes P4. Now these two need to work together to close back in to the trio at the front of the field. Aidan Hammond is all over the back of Charlie Trespreggi. Rayan Malik still has Lewis Bowie directly behind him. Charlie Trespreggi goes defensive. Jacob Trespreggi round the outside of turn 2. Aidan Hammond's going to take the pair of them. Hammond on the outside into turn 4. Jacob Trespreggi tries to fight with him. Aidan Hammond, though, still side by side as Charlie Trespreggi has gone from first down to third, but Jacob Trespreggi's on the outside. Charlie goes up the inside, gets a push from Callum Franklin and Louis Bishop behind. And Jacob Trespreggi, for a second, he was in first, then he dropped down to fourth. Now he's back up into third, but it is Aidan Hammond who is now leading in the junior race. And just like that, the junior top three has completely stirred up. So Hammond here leads through turn 9 with Charlie Chisbregi directly behind. Now that Aidan Hammond has clean air, can he pull away from Charlie Chisbregi? This is the point where Jacob cannot battle with Charlie. He needs to push Charlie along so that they can battle with Aidan Hammond. That's the kind of etiquette when you have this racing. You don't battle if you're battling for second. You can only battle if you're battling for first, because otherwise first will just pull off into the distance. Aidan Hammond last time round, a 60.1. Fast lap of the race is a 59.3 still for Callum Franklin. We have not seen any 58s being set in this race. We saw a couple of 58s in Heat 4. I think it was a 59.0, I want to say, from Aidan Hammond and Jacob Chisbregi. It might have been a 58.9. I can't quite remember. And Aidan Hammond has about half a second lead now to Charlie Chisbregi. And Jacob Chisbregi is going to go up the inside of Charlie Chisbregi into turn 10. That's going to invite Louis Bishop to go up the inside of Charlie as well. And Jacob has had enough. He doesn't want to sit behind his brother anymore. He reckons he's quicker and he can hunt down Aidan Hammond. But Aidan Hammond has stretched out a lead at the front of the field. Charlie Chisbregi defending from Louis Bishop. Bishop on the outside heading into the chicane. He's going to have the inside for turn 3. Callum Franklin might do what Aidan Hammond did a couple of laps ago. They're 3 abreast. Callum Franklin round the outside of Louis Bishop. Can he get the drive on Charlie Chisbregi? I don't think he can. Charlie Chisbregi will hold on to P3. Callum Franklin up the inside of Louis Bishop through turn 5. And Callum Franklin surely will retake P4. But Louis Bishop has had a great drive coming out of the corner and retakes 4th place from Callum Franklin down international corner. Aidan Hammond on the last lap, a 58.7. That is the fastest lap we have seen today. But can Jacob Chisbregi match that pace now that he has clean air as well? We have about 5-6 minutes remaining in the race, which is the equivalent of about 6-7 laps. Is that enough time then for Jacob Chisbregi to close in? Aidan Hammond, 58.5. Jacob Chisbregi, a 59.2. Aidan Hammond is well and truly checking out at the front of the field. Ryan Malik holding on to second. Right now, Ryan Malik is James Devereaux's best friend. Ryan Malik will be taking the win after penalties are applied, which means Caelan Keith will be coming in third with Lewis Bowie in second position. But the fastest lap of the race is going the way of James Devereaux, the only cadet to get into the 59s, and has himself a 4.5 second lead. Charlie Chisbregi now coming under pressure from Louis Bishop and Callum Franklin as we are rounding the final corner, and I think starting the final lap of the race, if I'm not mistaken. Aidan Hammond leads from Jacob Chisbregi. Last time round, Aidan Hammond, a 58.4 new personal best and a fast lap of the race. Jacob Chisbregi, new PB, 59.1. That's 7/10 slower than Aidan Hammond at the front of the field. As James Devereaux comes across the line to start a new lap. Lewis Bowie still right behind Ryan Malik, but unable to find a way through. Can he go up the inside into turn 4? Remember, for Lewis Bowie, he needs to overtake Ryan Malik. That will give him second place in the championship. If he stays behind Ryan Malik, he will finish third in the championship. It is as simple as that. But the checkered flag is being readied now for Aidan Hammond, who is going to be ending this season with a win. Aidan Hammond then rounds the final corner. He'll take the race win, and he will take the Cadet INKART Championship. Pardon me, the Junior INKART Championship. Charlie Chisbregi will come home in second. What's happened to Jacob Chisbregi? Where's Jacob Chisbregi gone? Jacob Chisbregi is stopped on the approach to the final corner, and that is going to cost Jacob Chisbregi second in the championship. That is gut-wrenching for Jacob. That looks like an issue with the kart, so it doesn't look to be any fault of Jacob's own. James Devereaux takes the win in the cadet field ahead of Rayan Malik and Lewis Bowie, with Caelan Keith behind. But with the penalty that James Devereaux has for the jump start, Rayan Malik will take the race win ahead of Lewis Bowie, with Caelan Keith taking third. Then James Devereaux will take fourth, with Tyler Rickard taking fifth. Well, that brings an end to a very exciting A final for both the cadets and the juniors. Aidan Hammond coming out on top. But with that, I'll be signing out of the stream, and I'll see everyone at circuit in the pavilion for drivers' presentation. And for those of you tuning on YouTube, I'll see you all for the next season of the Daytona Milton Keynes INKART Championship.